Back in 1959, 9 Russian hikers suddenly died in the snowy region of the Ural Mountains. While this can be attributed to a case of misadventure, the circumstances surrounding the hikers' death still remain a mystery to this day, spawning numerous conspiracy theories about what is now known as Dyatlov Pass. For this simple reason, a group of college students from Oregon wants to head out to Russia and investigate the infamous and mysterious Dyatlov Pass. The group consists of lead researcher Holly, a film student and conspiracy theorist Jensen, audio engineer Denise, and expert hikers Andy and JP. Due to the advantage of their time, such as better technology and more accessible information about where to go and what to do, the group is confident that nothing will go wrong and that they are prepared should it happen. And so, after months of training and preparation for the upcoming investigative journey, the excited group finally embarks on their trip to the snowy country of Russia. Following a train ride, the group reaches the small town of Evdel to conduct an interview with an old man named Peter Karov. This old person is actually the supposed 10th member of the ill-fated hiking group that died in the Dyatlov Pass incident. Due to being sick on the first day of their hike, Peter got out of harm's way. However, he eventually suffered from a mental breakdown, possibly due to the event, which is why Holly and her team will talk with him in a psychiatric hospital. But just as they are about to do this, they are steered away by the staff members of the hospital, telling Holly's group that Peter is dead. This comes as a shock to them. They then see an old man with a note in his hand from the second-floor window of the hospital. The old man is taken away subsequently, rousing the group's suspicion. Since the old man's note is in Russian, Holly and the others have no idea what it meant. Due to what happened, it seems that the group has to do something else for the time being. They decide to head to a local bar. There, they find out that the bar was the same bar where the Dyatlov group drank their last drinks before embarking on their ill-fated trip. As some kind of cruel joke, the bartender even serves them the same last drink that the Dyatlov group drank. Regardless, the group decides to ignore this. At the same bar, they meet a man named Sergei. Coincidentally, he will drive toward the nearest town to Dyatlov Pass, which is the next planned stopover of Holly's group. After riding in the back of Sergei's truck, the group finally reaches the town. There, they learn that Sergei's aunt, Alia, wants to talk with them because she was one of the first responders to the Dyatlov Pass incident. Due to the significance of this, Holly and the others immediately accept to conduct an interview with the old woman. Before they do it, Holly asks Sergei to translate the old man's note from the psychiatry hospital. Sergei tells them that it simply means "stay away," a very ominous message. Afterward, the group finally talks with Alia. She informs them about the 11 bodies that they found back in 1959 before they were steered away by the Russian authorities. She also saw a strange machine near 2 extensively damaged bodies. This confuses Holly because the official report states that there were only 9 bodies, not 11. But Alia insists that it is the truth. Despite this contradicting detail, the group accepts Alia's words and continues their journey to the nearby snowy Ural Mountains. After walking for a while, they finally see the so-called Mountain of the Dead, the same place where the 9 hikers died. Still, the group maintains their high spirits as they ascend the mountainous region, conversing and joking around without any fear or concern. Following a long walk, the group decides to stop and take a rest. Because they have prepared extensively before the trip, the group has no trouble setting up camp and cooking their food despite the freezing cold. That night, Jensen is looking out in the distance using his binoculars. Holly sees this and becomes confused because the magnificent northern lights are currently on display, and yet Jensen is looking somewhere else. Jensen tells her that in the weeks leading up to the 9 hikers' death, it is said that people nearby saw orange lights emanating from the 9 hikers' location. Of course, because Jensen has always been known as a conspiracy theorist, Holly thinks that this is just his usual case of skepticism, so she cracks a joke at him. The following day, a shocked Jensen tells the rest of the group about his disturbing discovery. There are a bunch of gigantic human footsteps surrounding their campsite. The strangest thing about this, other than the size of the footsteps, is that it is clearly a bare footprint, which is impossible in the freezing cold. Jensen thinks that it is a Yeti, but Holly rejects this interpretation. At this moment, Denise starts to air her doubts about the expedition, and Andy starts accusing Holly of making a sick prank to scare her fellow hikers. Still, they march on toward their destination despite feeling the tension between members of the group. After a while of hiking, the group hears a strange sound coming from nowhere. They also see a weather tower, which they immediately approach, thinking that the sound is coming from inside it. Holly decides to climb to see and film what is inside, but she gets the shock of her life upon seeing a severed tongue inside, causing her to fall back into the snow below. Now, the mood is shifted within the group. Seeing and hearing all these strange occurrences, they are now all feeling anxious and unsure whether or not they want to continue their investigation. Denise believes that the tongue is an omen, but Holly convinces her that it is perhaps nothing. Holly then approaches Jensen, who is brooding alone, clearly disturbed by the severed tongue inside the weather tower. He tells Holly that he once had a bad psychedelic trip back in high school where he heard the same strange sound that they had heard earlier. Holly replies that she once had a dream about some snowy mountains that appeared exactly like the place where they are right now. She adds that she saw a door that was pulling her in like a magnet. She believes that it must be fate that they are here together, experiencing their current weird situations along with other people. After calming down and resting a bit, the group continues their hike. Eventually, Holly notices that the surrounding areas look familiar and announces to the group that they have reached Dyatlov Pass. This is surprising because they are way ahead of their calculated scheduled time. Despite this anomaly, the group sets up another campsite in the area where the 9 hikers died. Holly continues her documentary work by spray painting the snow with the 9 hikers' bodies. She then narrates each hiker's fate one by one in the order of their death and location. After shooting the narration, Holly sees Andy fidgeting with his GPS watch. Due to the incident earlier with the footprints, Andy thinks that Holly messes with his watch as well. However, JP tells Andy that his compass is also going haywire. With this, Andy concludes that they should immediately leave the place, adding the detail about the earlier strange arrival at the Dyatlov Pass despite the map telling them that it should still be farther. Even Denise attempts to convince Holly to move out. But Holly insists that they should stay instead at the campsite for at least one night and just ignore these telltale signs that something is definitely wrong. As such, they have no choice but to stay. Later on, Holly and Jensen notice that Andy and Denise are romantically teasing each other to pass the time. That night, Holly and Jensen decide to conduct a rogue video recording without the others' knowledge. Holly wants to test the radiation level of the area using a small device. While testing the device, she notices that it is becoming stronger and stronger the more she approaches a specific area. Eventually, she and Jensen stumble upon a metallic door hidden underneath a layer of snow. It looks like an entrance to an underground bunker. With this discovery, Jensen's conspiratorial thinking kicks in, telling Holly that they should not open the door because the Russian government might have intended for it to be unopened. But the persistent Holly insists that they should hide nothing in their investigation, which includes the discovery of the metallic door and its possible content. Convinced, Jensen helps her rotate the door's valve. Although it has been opened, the seams are frozen shut. Jensen is about to get some hot water to unfreeze the seams, but Holly stops him, telling Jensen that this will alert the others and might cause a panic. As such, they decide to leave for now and keep the door a secret. They also decide to continue opening the door tomorrow with Andy, JP, and Denise. And so the two head back to the camp, where the others are staying by the fire. Here, Andy and Denise retreat to their tent to start their passionate night together. When JP asks Holly about finding something interesting in the area, Holly responds that they have not seen anything. For a brief moment, Holly and JP also tease each other about spending a night together in a tent as well. In the early hours of the following day, Andy and Denise had just woken up when they hear a loud, explosive sound, alarming them. This sound is also heard by Holly and the others, who immediately head outside their tents to check. Outside, an avalanche is already brewing in the distance, causing the group to quickly pack their things. With no time left to spare, the group runs away while also leaving their things behind. In the ensuing chaos, Denise trips and falls into the snow. When Andy is about to help her, a camera smashes Denise's face hard, killing her instantly. Due to the speed of the avalanche, the other hikers are caught as well by the raging wave of snow. Fortunately, they survive the avalanche, with Denise as the only casualty. However, Andy suffers a severe injury in his leg. Here, the tension between members has reached its peak, with Jensen and JP arguing with each other. Jensen thinks that the explosive sound and the avalanche that followed it are clear indications that the Russian military is trying to assassinate them. But JP believes that this idea is absurd and that Jensen is just being his usual skeptical self. Holly yells at them to stop and asks Andy what to do next. Andy tells them to use his first aid kit to treat his leg injury. It turns out that Andy's leg injury is much more severe than anticipated because his bones are exposed. Still, they successfully apply the bandage to his legs and let him rest. As they sit beside the fire, JP suggests that they should fire a flare gun to alert nearby people. But Jensen insists that they should not because the military might locate them. Here, JP notices a lingering look between the two, almost as if they have been hiding some crucial information from them. Because of this, Holly reveals that she and Jensen had indeed found something last night, which is the metallic bunker door that is full of radiation. This angers JP because Holly and Jensen are untrustworthy. However, JP quickly clears his head and thinks that the appropriate action should be firing the flare gun. At this point, Jensen agrees with him and does exactly that. Upon firing the flare gun, Jensen notices that the flare is orange-colored, thereby concluding that what the people saw back then before the Dyatlov Pass incident is actually flare lights. Afterward, Holly tearfully apologizes to JP for hiding the details about the bunker. Even though JP is disappointed in her, he still consoles Holly. Later, they prepare their breakfast. Andy takes this chance to apologize to Jensen for what happened to Denise. All of a sudden, two unknown individuals are approaching them from a distance. Of course, the group's first response is that of relief because someone saw their flare and that they will be rescued. However, being an expert hiker himself, Andy notices that the two approaching individuals have no backpacks with them, which means that they must be lying to them. As such, Andy tells his fellow hikers to leave him behind because he is injured and will only slow them down. Initially hesitant, Holly and the others agree to leave Andy behind due to the danger of the situation. But before they leave their comrade, they give Andy a flare gun to defend himself. As they are running away, they hear gunshots from behind them. Upon looking back, they see the two individuals swiftly killing Andy. Freaked out by the sight of their friend's execution, the group runs toward the bunker in hopes of hiding away from the two murderous individuals chasing and shooting at them. When Holly and JP are turning the valve of the metallic door and unfreezing the seams using their hot water, JP gets shot right in his shoulder. Finally, the door opens and all three of them enter without hesitation. After closing the door, the two individuals from outside turn the valve and lock them inside. Inside the bunker, the group encounters nothing but total darkness. Jensen turns on the night vision of his camera to see through this darkness. He sees that it is a tunnel and that it is split into two pathways. He also sees a power switch which he promptly turns on, finally giving him vision. And so the group walks toward one of the tunnel's pathways while assisting the injured JP. However, one of the tunnel's lights suddenly exploded for no apparent reason, causing the group to retreat. As the lights go out, Holly screams in terror, telling Jensen and JP that something touched her in the ensuing darkness. Since there is an explosion in the first pathway, they figure that they should try the other one. Eventually, the group discovers an antique underground laboratory of some kind. To let him rest, they leave JP in a specific spot just right outside the laboratory. They then search around the lab, seeking some answers for the laboratory's purpose. Aside from some old books and dated papers, they also see a book about the Philadelphia experiment. Since Jensen is a conspiracy theorist, he's the only one that recognized it, telling his fellow hikers that it is an experiment conducted for the purpose of teleportation. After seeing the top-secret pictures of the experiment, they figure that they have to find a way out of the place. And so they continue their search throughout the place where they discover a naturally formed cave and a room that contains nuclear energy, which explains the radioactivity in the area. In another room, they see the body of a soldier on a table. The most significant detail about this soldier is that his tongue is missing, instantly connecting him with the severed tongue that they found inside the weather tower. Aside from this, Holly and Jensen also see some charred remains nearby. But the most shocking thing that they have discovered is a handheld camera that looks exactly like the camera that they have. It even matches the footage that they have from the psychiatric hospital earlier. As they are discussing this impossibility, they hear JP scream from outside the room. They run back toward him, only to find out that he is being eaten by two ghoulish creatures. The creatures see them and charge toward them, prompting Holly and Jensen to run away. But one of the creatures manages to take hold of Jensen's face. Holly gathers a line of chains to be used for attacking the two ghoulish creatures. However, when she throws it toward them, the creatures vanish into thin air before appearing once again. It turns out that the creatures can teleport. For this reason, Holly and Jensen have no choice but to run away again. This time, they run toward the naturally formed cave that they saw earlier. Deep within the cave is another metallic door. With no space left to escape to, Holly and Jensen enter through the door despite not knowing what's on the other side. Because of this, they manage to escape the ghoulish creatures. While locking the door, Jensen wonders why the creatures are not attacking them much more aggressively. On the other side of the door is a spiral cave formation. When they throw a rock into the spiral, the rock vanishes out of thin air. Jensen believes that they have stumbled upon an ancient wormhole. At this point, the camera's flashlight has died off. Here, Holly tearfully tells Jensen that what is happening now runs exactly what happened in her dream back then. She proceeds to apologize to Jensen for endangering their lives. Later on, Jensen shares a theory brewing in his mind. Since he believes that it is a wormhole, he thinks that it goes to another place one way or another, providing them an escape from the place. He thinks that if they picture a particular place and time hard enough, the wormhole might take them there instead. With this in mind, they picture the place outside the bunker. Having no other options left, they both agree to pass through the portal together, along with the camera. The wormhole works as it successfully takes them to the snowy mountains just outside the bunker, where two people see them. However, they have not just teleported outside, they have also jumped back to 1959, on the day the 9 hikers were found dead. It turns out that the 2 additional bodies that the elderly Alia saw back then are actually Holly and Jensen's body, and that the strange machine beside their bodies is actually their handheld camera. This also explains why there is an exact copy of their cameras inside the laboratory, because the Russian military seized it, as well as Holly and Jensen's massively damaged bodies. In a final shocking revelation, it turns out that the ghoulish creatures that attacked Holly and Jensen earlier in the laboratory are actually themselves, with Holly's neck tattoo as clear proof of this. At the present, the sudden disappearance of Holly's documentary group sparks an international effort toward the search for their bodies in the snowy Ural Mountains, becoming top news in both the United States and Russia. Aside from this, the news of their disappearance also reignites interests in the infamous Dyatlov Pass, causing another set of debates about what is hidden in that particular area of the world.